Yuri, thank you so much for coming on the Easy Prey podcast today.
Thank you very much for having me. I look forward to it.
Great. Can you give myself and the audience a little background about who you are and what you do?
Sure. Jorij Abraham. I'm Dutch. I live in Amsterdam. I've got two hats. I run the Global Anti-Scam Alliance, which is a non-profit organization. And I am also the managing director of scamadvisor.com, where we help consumers not get scammed.
So was there something that happened to you, like a scam, that got you interested in this field, or did you just kind of fall into the field?
Very honestly, yes, I've been scammed in the past, but thank God, it's a while ago. But I ended up in the anti-scam business by accident. I took over Scam Advisor from a developer, Mark. He got scammed in 2012. Story goes that he bought a golf set, which is typical for a person from Great Britain. Proved to be fake. And as you know, nothing is as dangerous as an angry developer. So he started to develop Scam Advisor. And in 2018, I took over from him and continued to grow it.
That's great. Was there like how did you fall into it?
Into the scam or into Scam Advisor?
Into Scam Advisor, like what got you interested in taking on that role?
Very honestly, the reason I took over from Mark was I wanted to launch a global trust seal to allow web shops in developing countries to sell to the Western world. And for that, you need trust, and a trust seal can help you to communicate that trust. And we needed an algorithm to determine very quickly, is this website legit or not? And does it stay legit? So that's the reason we acquired Scam Advisor. The entire Trustmark business was a nightmare. It didn't work. But Scam Advisor became bigger and bigger and bigger. And so in the end, in 2020, we decided, okay, let's go full time for Scam Advisor. So that's how I ended up in the scam business.
That's a great story of a great business story. You try one thing, it doesn't quite work, you pivot, and inadvertently you come across an incredible idea that benefits society.
It's what I like. I mean, I always like to combine doing something good for the world with, making money. So I like the combination.
I can relate.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about as we're recording this, it's the end of 2022. What were some of the most commonly reported scams of 2022?
The funniest one, the thing I find remarkable, as you know, we were having an energy crisis, and what always surprises me is how, and you have to give them that, how entrepreneurial and marketing smartness the scammers have. Because what we've seen in the last 2 months is a incredible number of online stores selling wood. And offering that for very low prices to consumers, and then of course never delivering it. And the reason why this scam is very successful is that consumers understand that it might take a few weeks to get a big pallet of wood from Russia or Sweden or Finland to your house. So they only start complaining to law enforcement and others after weeks of waiting. And together, we're getting a lot of fake websites selling wood from France, Germany, the UK, not so much USA, I have to admit, the Netherlands. So that's one of the remarkable scams we come across. Also energy related are, of course, great offers for cheap electricity, which are subscription based, and people fall for those as well. And that's where a lot of money goes, because those subscription scams, they are able to get a lot of money from victims.
Is it that with the energy subscription scams, is it that it's totally a scam in that they have nothing to do with the energy market, or they're just charging a rate in the terms and conditions that goes crazy?
No, they're real scams. So they say, hey, we can lower your costs by 50%, or fix your energy expenditures at a very low rate. And people, I mean, these are for many people desperate times, and people who are desperate are, yeah, unfortunately easy to victimize.
Yeah, I think that that's one thing that's consistent about scammers is they will take advantage of international crisis, local crises, and tailor the scams towards those specific people that are in
Yeah,
dire circumstances.
yeah, absolutely. If I may, one of the examples which really, yeah, how do you say, grabbed me. I mean, in Texas 1 year ago, you had the changes in legislation about abortion pills, and independent of what you think about that, what we saw already 3 months before that legislation came into effect is a scammer starting up online stores offering abortion pills, targeting Texas young women,
Hmm.
and then not only not delivering the product, but then also starting to extort them that, hey, you ordered from us. If you don't pay more or do other things, then we're going to tell your family. And that's scamming persons in a very terrible way.
Yeah, it's attacking people in a vulnerable situation and then throwing extortion and blackmail on top of it is just absolutely hideous.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So does Scam Advisor like help people track down the scammers or just be more aware of what the scams actually are?
No, I mean, we have 4 million visitors per month, and they're from all over the world. And unfortunately, I mean, we decided to really specialize in, is this website a scam or legit?
Hmm.
And of course, we get a lot of emails. I lost my money. Can you help me? And as good or as bad as it is, we try to refer them to the right source. And that's also one of the reasons why I actually started with the Global Anti-Scam Alliance, because victims are not helped in most countries. It really sucks to be, it already sucks to be a scam victim. And then you don't get any support from law enforcement or other organizations to get out of the scam, to get your money back, or at least get help.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing that I've run across as well is that uh, it appears that law enforcement is really not in a position to be able to help, particularly when it comes to international scams. With a scam, it's one thing if it's a contractor who doesn't show up to do the job and he's local. It's another thing if the person who conducted the scam is in another country where we don't have strong cooperation laws.
Yeah. And what I understood, there's a person at the World Economic Forum who is focusing on cybercrime, and he did a large study, and 0.05% of all cyber criminals are being caught at the moment.
Oh,
So so unfortunately, it's great to be in this business because, yeah, it's easy to make money, and the chances of getting caught are currently very, very low.
yeah. Do you think that's because there's poor cooperation between governments, or is it technically hard to find these people?
Yeah, it's both. I mean, I want to make clear, I don't think it's the fault of law enforcement. I mean, law enforcement officers, their hands are tied, and it's the politicians who should change legislation in their country, but even more importantly, start working together, sharing data. At the moment, if a police officer in country A wants to exchange data with a police officer in country B, it takes 6 to 9 months to get all the paperwork done. Yeah,
Oh,
I
wow.
mean, the cyber criminal's gone.
Yeah.
So I think there's a big role for Europol and Interpol, but countries don't like the idea of giving more power to these kind of organizations. But I don't think we have a choice because the cyber criminals are way ahead of us.
Yeah. Do you find that most of the scam victims are US or EU based, or is it pretty diverse?
It started that way. I mean, of course, many people can speak English, and then especially the UK and USA, they're easy victims. Apart from being like me, male, 50 years old, and a little bit overweight. So it started there. But what we've seen since the Corona epidemic, we've seen the number of scams in India, Nigeria, and other developing countries going through the roof. The scammers no longer only target English-speaking countries. They target also the people in their own country, and hard. And well, if you and I lose $50, we will survive. But for somebody in India, that can be a lot of money and really hurt very much.
Yeah.
So no, I mean, scams are now a global epidemic. It's no longer a Western disease.
Do you think what kind of role do you think that education plays into helping? It's not going to prevent scammers from scamming, but how much do you think education can help reduce the number of people that actually get scammed?
It helps, but and it's always good to educate consumers and keep on educating them. But there is, I don't know how you say, there's a maximum floor in it. I mean, you can only grow to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Actually, I just read a paper of a researcher, and she made a statement that when a person reaches a certain level of awareness, it doesn't help to make them more aware. It's actually the reverse, because they feel more confident online and they start to fall for other kinds of scams. Plus the fact that scammers are becoming very rapidly more professional. And it also takes me an hour to say, is this now a scam? It looks bloody professional. I mean, and that's the biggest challenge. I mean, all the new tech, all the AI, the deep fakes coming out, we're in for a ride, because it will be very difficult to detect scams in the future.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I used to tell people, and I'm starting to question whether it's good advice or not, was, get the person on a video chat, because
It used to be
then,
good advice. Same with, is there a valid SSL certificate?
yeah.
10 years ago, or check the reviews on Trustpilot. The scammers are evolving, and yeah, with deep fakes and deep voices, it will be very difficult to see, am I now speaking to my son or not?
Yeah, it's unfortunately that certain amount of anytime that you're interacting with someone, assume that it could be a fake, it could be a scam. Even if you think you're talking to your mom, it might not really be your mom.
True, true.
I mean, and I've seen that. I've gotten emails that purport to be from a family member, and I can just tell from the writing that, like, no, that this family member doesn't talk that way. I know it's not them. But if they happen to get the grammar and the language right, I very easily could have responded to them, or you know uh, started to go down that rabbit hole of finding out what's happening. So what do you see kind of the future of scams? Where do you see it going? I mean, I think people are always going to take advantage of crises. So if there's an energy crisis, an oil crisis, a hurricane, a tornado, they're always going to take advantage of those sort of things. But where do you see scams going in the future?
My worst case scenario is it will really become some countries will really have a national crisis. I always refer back in the 19s, there was a Ponzi scheme in Albania. It took down the government.
Oh, wow.
So a Ponzi scheme taking down a government. And I would not be surprised that, nice example, it was not good enough, but I got an email a few days ago from one of our fans, and he was forwarding an email where there are food riots in the street. You now get your emergency food rations. So the scammers, I fear in the future, they become so good at creating. They're not waiting for the crisis. They're going to create the crisis. And with all the social media, I think they're able to create a crisis, and people start to buy into their scam before we can say, no, this is really not true. Or, I mean, what we've seen with the cryptocurrency exchange, I mean, it's so easy to create a crisis now that
Yeah.
I think that we're going to see that a lot more, where with your president making an online address which is completely fake, but people are reacting to it, and benefiting the scammer.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about, and I don't know how it was in Europe, but where I live, early on in the coronavirus, there was a run on toilet paper, and the production of toilet paper didn't drop off. People's usage of toilet paper didn't increase, but because there was a perception of a shortage, everybody went out to stockpile it, causing a shortage. And kind of
Yeah,
with this new global just-in-time uh, warehousing models that we live in, one little bump seems to have ripples that go quite a ways.
yeah. You remind me. I mean, we saw indeed the Australians going for toilet paper. The Dutch went to their how do you say, where you can buy CBD and marijuana stores, and the Americans went to the gun stores.
Yeah,
So everybody. No, I'm just kidding, but that's exactly an example. I mean, it's so easy to create a crisis or a hype. And we see scammers also invest a lot, especially with cryptocurrency. They run ad campaigns for millions, because they know their return on investment is 100%. So if you run an ad for $100 and you get a victim to pay 150, yeah, keep going.
yeah,
And that's one of my it's no longer a simple scam. They can set up campaigns, hire well-known people who are then endorsing it. And I mean, a government can yell, "Be careful! It might be a Ponzi scheme," but their marketing power just overrules that.
yeah. And I think particularly with the crypto exchanges, what FTX just went under. When you hear so many people having huge wins, and maybe even people that there's this eagerness and the fear of missing out that people jump
Yeah,
into things that they're maybe not super familiar with, that don't understand the risks of, and then on top of it, it turns out to be a Ponzi scheme.
yeah. No, I mean, fear, greed, or need, in the sense of, with Corona, of course, I need the masks, I need the vaccine, I need to protect my family. Those are three very strong drivers, and scammers are very good at using those.
Yeah, I frequently talk about scammers exploiting emotions, urgency, and authority. That
Yeah,
you know, we're calling from your bank, your government. We're a respected member of your community, and if you don't do this in this short period of time, something bad's going to happen, or you're going to miss out on something good.
it's a good example. At the moment, in the Netherlands, we get a lot of phone calls, automated. This is the FBI. You are in the investigation. Press one. I mean, come on, we're in the Netherlands. But it works. 1% of the people are pressing the one, are connected to a call center and getting scammed.
Oh,
Because, well, we know who the FBI is. They don't know that it has officially no authority here and it's a scam. And that's the problem with all these scams. It's so easy to automate and mass roll out. And we know that with phishing emails, yeah, 1 to 2% clicks and pays. So it's good money.
yeah, and that's to me that's one of the challenges whether it's SMS messages, emails, or phone calls, those things are so scalable and so inexpensive that it doesn't take. You don't need in regular business you're happy if you get a 1% response rate.
Yeah,
With a scammer you need 0.01% response rate to have a windfall.
yeah, true. And one of the things where I think really things should change is that the platforms which are supporting that communication should take more responsibility. And I hope with either voluntarily or via legislation, these platforms are going to take more responsibility.
Yeah, you hope that the platforms on their own decide, hey, we better do something, and I believe they should, because government regulation is never as clean and as executed as well as if you do it on your own.
I think it's always better that if business takes its own responsibility to prevent legislation. I fear that legislation will be necessary
Yeah.
because if one platform takes its responsibility, great. But how do you say in English? It always sinks to the lowest level. There will always be bad players.
Yeah.
Recently, I spoke to one of the top 3 SSL certificate providers in the world, really big. And I talked to him and I said, well, a lot of scammers are using your free offering. What are you going to do about it? I don't care. As much as long as many people use our services at the lowest cost possible, it's not my responsibility. And I think that is no longer acceptable.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like we were talking earlier, it used to be, yeah, if there's an SSL certificate, it means they've jumped through enough hurdles that you should feel safe. I mean, and that was the marketing. S means safe.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean secure, it means safe. And now we're trying to retrain people. Well, just because there's an SSL certificate doesn't really mean they are who they claim to be. It just means your data is secure in transit.
Yeah. And that's the reason why I say awareness is good, but we have to protect consumers more. I mean, we have an army to protect our borders. We should also have a more digital protection, protecting consumers. And of course, we need to work internationally to do that right.
Yeah. So one thing I wanted to ask you, because you deal with seeing so many scams and in contact with so many people, I've heard this philosophy and wonder if it resonates with you, that scammers sometimes intentionally use bad grammar in their emails in order to sort out. I see the bad grammar and I go, oh, it's absolutely a scam, and I delete the email. But they intentionally use the bad grammar to weed out people like you and I who are going to catch it. And that way, the person who doesn't catch it is a little bit more scared, a little bit more in a rush, and more likely to fall for the scam.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, they don't want to waste their time on a scam baiter, and they're not interested in going into debate if is this a scam, yes or no. They just want easy victims. So yes, a lot of emails are sending out which on purpose are filtering out they're targeting a specific group, but we see that continuously, that they're getting better at targeting. I mean, my son, who is 13 years old, he's continuously being bombarded by Roblox scams. Roblox, I don't know if you have children, but very popular game. So he gets targeted with Roblox scams continuously to see if they can get to daddy's PayPal and credit card information. Yeah, they're good marketeers, unfortunately.
You'd wish that they would use their marketing skills for good and not evil.
I mean, last week we had our Global Anti-Scam Summit, and everybody could post ideas. And one of the ideas posted is to retrain. I mean, a lot of scammers, the food soldiers, they're poor people. And very honestly, if my family would have no food, I would take any job to support them. So I understand it. But retraining those people into developers or online marketeers might help in the solution, because we see, especially, it's not Nigeria, it's specific villages in Nigeria, it's specific villages in Romania. And if we can retrain those core groups into doing something good, like we have the programs for turning hackers into white hackers. I think we should do the same with scammers.
Do you think that kind of the rise of globalization is a positive direction for that happening? Because it used to be, 10 years ago, it was, at least from the U.S. perspective, it was, I don't know if I want to hire someone overseas. I'm not sure. But now, People are outsourcing their entire call centers. They're starting to outsource their entire development teams offshore. Do you think that because there is more and more global opportunities for people to get jobs, like I don't have to be in the US anymore to work for a US company if I'm a good developer? Do you see that as working towards reducing the kind of these localized, these people have skills but can't apply them issues?
Yes, I mean, I think we're not going to solve scams with a silver bullet.
Yeah.
We have to implement tens and maybe hundreds of different solutions to combat them, retraining them, helping them. Yes, and I'm personally a big favor of trying to create a more global community, because in the end we have one globe, so we have to work together. But reducing scams by reducing poverty, yes, I mean, we know from, I interviewed a lot of scammers to better understand them, and many, I mean, they don't do it because they like it, they need money. So the more we can solve that problem, and I know it's a problem we're not going to solve in our lifetimes, but it will help.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of, can we make headway? We don't expect to be able to solve this tomorrow, but what can we do today to reduce the impact of scammers as well as get them in a position where they don't feel the need to do that?
Yeah, we have to fight this fight in many different ways, on many different fronts.
And so that's kind of what the Global Anti-Scam Alliance is doing. Is that kind of a policy organization? Kind of what direction does that go towards?
I see the Global Anti-Scam Alliance more as a networking organization, with as goal to push everybody together to define new ways of combating scams. And that's, it can be a re-education program, it can be sharing data to make scammers more visible, it can be awareness, but also reinventing the wheel. I mean, we see many countries, they are coming now with the same solutions. If we develop that solution once and then roll it out across the globe, also to developing countries who cannot afford it, then we're making headway. So the goal with the alliance is really bringing together all the people to share expertise and accelerate the fight.
Mm-hmm. I think that is a great plan. So what are the future plans for Scam Advisor? Where are you wanting to take that next?
So many ideas, and I'm going to misuse your program. We need developers. Please contact me. No, but I mean, Scam Advisor has been focusing always on is this website legit or a scam? And but you would be the number of emails and stories we get with yes, this is a scammy domain, but I got it via this email address. Then he moved me to this Telegram group, and I paid with that crypto address. So what we want to launch in Q1 next year is give us all the data, and we will make it available to any law enforcement group so that they can see, hey, this cryptocurrency address is being used a lot, and it's that Telegram group and that Facebook page. So that's our big ambition for next year, that people can not only check out domains, but also check out cryptocurrency numbers, phone numbers, and anything which I mean, with 4 million visitors per month, we're not there yet. I think you got more, but I hope we get more data, and we share the data as much as possible. But we also have great partners. I mean, we have several partners who are helping us develop the cryptocurrency search engine and the phone number search engine. So that's the big plan for next year.
Those are great things. Any tools that people could use to do research themselves, and I think are a huge benefit.
Yeah, we offer an API so people can shoot us a domain name, and we give you back all the data we have about the domain, and if it's reliable, what are the reviews on Trustpilot and SiteJabber, how popular is the website. So we offer an API for that, and It's free for law enforcement and non-profits because in the end, our goal is to share as much. And our goal is not to make money, but at least to pay for the hosting costs, which is
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah. Pay for your developers, cover the bills is always
Yeah.
a good thing to do. So, where can people find more about you, the Global Anti-Scam Alliance, and Scam Advisor? So, we got three sets of information here.
My name is Jorij Abraham, George Abraham. Look me up on LinkedIn, scamadvisor.com and gaza.org.
And that's gasa.org.
Yes, thank you.
Great. Yuri, thank you so much for coming on the Easy Freight podcast today.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.